Right now at 4, more tariffs set to take effect at midnight tonight, this time for Canada and Mexico. How this could impact everything from cars to home building supplies. And if you haven't filed your taxes just yet, we're here to take a look at some ways to keep you from making some common mistakes.
Covering news where you live. This is 5 News First at 4.
And we've been talking about this for the last several days. We have to talk about the threat of some severe storms tomorrow. Thanks for joining us. I'm Darren Bob, and Scott's joining us now to give us a preview of what we can expect for the next, well, couple of days.
Yeah, that's exactly right. The storm system is going to slowly be working its way our direction. It's windy out there right now, but here's the thing. Those wind speeds we're looking at the moment ain't nothing compared to what's moving our direction by tomorrow. We begin with the weather impact alert for your Tuesday. This map looks a little bit different than it did earlier in the morning. And I want to tell you those changes include shifting that level 2 risk. That's the one in yellow back off towards the north. So at one point today, there were parts of northwest Arkansas that were under a level 1. But the Storm Prediction Center kind of had to backtrack on that just a little bit. New data coming in suggesting the large area of the 5 News viewing area probably going to see a round of some strong to severe storms tomorrow. The highest threat remains towards the south, southern Arkansas, southeast Oklahoma, parts of southern LaFleur County included in that level 3 potential. What does that mean here locally? High winds, that's going to be the big concern for us tomorrow. We're talking straight line winds 60 to 70 miles per hour. Heavy rain will follow that. The tornado threat is low. But here's the thing, it's not zero. We'll have to track all of these cells very closely as that line of storms works its way through the area. Out there right now, temperatures are nice and mild. That strong southerly wind keeping us all in the 60s out there. And that'll be the case for the next few hours before we eventually drop a little bit cooler overnight. Tonight, we're tracking a whole lot of weather. Not only do we have storms in the forecast tomorrow, we have non-thunderstorm winds in excess of 40, maybe up to 50 miles per hour. And to top it all off, get ready for it, snow flurries now in the forecast for parts of the area tomorrow evening. We'll have a look at that and more in just a few.
Because why not? All right, Scott, thanks. With a threat of severe weather, it is a good reminder to get updates fast. Sebastian County reminding you of its emergency alert system that'll send out notifications very quickly in urgent situations. You can call the number there to sign up or just text alerts to 479-259-2703 if you live in Sebastian County. Scott will also be streaming tonight on 5 Plus to get you ready for tomorrow. We will get you updates tonight at 8 if you want to know how to download 5 Plus to your smart TV and watch all of this for free. Just text the word plus to 479-785-5000.
We shall not be moved. We're on the road to justice.
Meanwhile, protests across the country today as workers with the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration voicing angers over layoffs. This large group in Boulder, Colorado, hundreds of employees were terminated as part of government-wide layoffs ordered by the Trump administration. Scientists and politicians are sounding the alarm about its potential consequences on everything from keeping people safe to the economy. Meanwhile, the clock is ticking toward the president's tariffs on Mexico and Canada set to take effect tomorrow. Mexico says it's waiting to see if the Trump administration will follow through with 25% tariffs against goods from that country. Canada also getting slapped with a 25% tariff and a lesser 10% charge on its energy exports. Another 10% will be added to the universal tariff on goods from China. Consumers could see oil, cars, and car parts impacted within the next couple of weeks. It could take another 6 to 9 months, though, to feel the effects on agriculture, toys, and home building supplies.
I don't think it's likely that these Chinese companies would eat all of the cost, but you do have to remember China is in a tough spot economically. They need to keep access to these U.S. buyers and consumers in order to get out of that. Where China could hit us, though, is with retaliatory tariffs. Under the first Trump administration, the agriculture industry was devastated by that. So that's a route they could go instead.
A recent report from the Conference Board shows consumer confidence is slipping over concerns about the inflation and trade uncertainty. And a CBS News poll found nearly 2/3 of consumers say prices have already been rising in just the last couple of weeks. Trump administration also continuing its standoff with Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky after last Friday's contentious Oval Office meeting. Zelensky pushed the U.S. to agree to a peacekeeping mission if a truce with Russia can be negotiated, warning Russian President Vladimir Putin cannot be trusted to keep his word. But President Trump insists Zelensky is resisting efforts to end the three-year-long war.
He thinks the war's going to go on for a long time. And he better not be right about that.
European leaders held a meeting with Zelensky over the weekend, reinforcing their support for Ukraine. It all comes as the president gets ready to address a joint session of Congress tomorrow. This is a live look at the White House right now. Amid changes to the federal government, the president expected to spell out his demands for Republicans to turn his agenda into law. You can watch that right here on 5 News and on 5 Plus tomorrow night, starting at 8. And again, for instructions on how to download 5 Plus and watch all that for free, just text the word plus 785-5000. New at 4 in a last-second decision, the man accused of opening fire on a 4th of July parade in a Chicago suburb now pleading guilty. It comes just days before his trial was about to start. Police say Robert E. Crimo changed his plea moments before opening statements were set to start in his trial. 2022 shooting left 7 people dead and injured more than 40. Crimo is set to be sentenced sometime next month. As Catholics around the world get ready to mark the start of Lent this week, Pope Francis still in a Rome hospital fighting a respiratory infection and pneumonia. Seth Doan is in Rome, where experts say his prognosis is guarded this afternoon, and the Vatican says they don't feel the pontiff is completely out of danger.
After some relatively positive news in recent days, we're getting word of another setback for Pope Francis in the latest medical update, which was released Monday evening from the Vatican. Pope Francis had 2 acute respiratory crises on Monday, both of them caused by a mucus buildup and also spasms in the airways in the lungs. 2 bronchoscopies were performed. That's when a flexible probe is inserted into the lungs to examine them, and he had to be aspirated in order to do that. The Pope was then administered oxygen, we understand, through a face mask. The Vatican has underlined that it is non-invasive, meaning he has not had to be intubated. Through all of this, the Vatican says the Pope has remained alert and aware. There was some positive news. Vatican sources tell us that the white blood cell count for the Pope was not elevated, meaning there are no signs of new infection. And though this immediate crisis has passed, we've learned from Vatican sources, it does underline just how complex Pope Francis's medical condition is. Seth Doan, CBS News, Rome.
March marks the start of colorectal cancer awareness month, and one survivor working to bring more attention to the disease. Amy Jensen was diagnosed with stage 3 rectal cancer 5 years ago at age 41. She is now battling metastatic disease in her pelvic wall, undergoing systemic chemotherapy as her only option. Jensen now traveling to Washington this month to lobby Congress for $20 million in research.
Along with more treatment options that other cancers have that we don't have, where some of our treatment options are as old as the 1980s. I don't want other people to have to go through what I've had to endure and how it's affected my family.
Colorectal cancer is the second leading cause of cancer death in the U.S. It's also increasing among younger people. Doctors recommend everyone age 45 and older get screened. Tax season well underway now, and we're helping you get ready to file. But 5 News reporter Morgan Wrigley tells us there are some common mistakes you can make that could slow down that refund.
The Arkansas Department of Finance and Administration has already processed nearly 500,000 tax returns this year, and refunds are rolling out. But before you submit your filing, there are a few things to watch out for. Scott Harden with the DFA tells me along with those nearly 500,000 returns, the state has issued around 240,000 refunds. The average refund amount this year is about $380. And Harden says most Arkansans are choosing to file online instead of by mail, which helps you get your money sooner. If you file online, you can expect your refund to take about 3 to 4 weeks. If you file by mail, he says add 2 more weeks to that. Another thing to watch out for is fraud. The state has already flagged over 10,000 fraudulent tax filings this year.
Sometimes it may take an extra few days, and you say, well, why is that? Why is this taking an extra few days? The reason we want to make sure that you, the person that earned that money and deserves the refund, get it, and not a scammer halfway across the world.
To avoid delays, Hardin says double checking your return is key. Leaving a blank space or missing an attachment could slow things down. And if you need more time, don't forget April 15th is the deadline to file or request an extension. Morgan Wrigley, 5 News.